You don't need more time. You need a decision. On the other side of your excuses is the life you said you wanted, the book with your name on it. The body you promised yourself. The business you swore would change your family's story. Today isn't one day. Today is the day you draw a line, break the pattern, and move. Get it done isn't a slogan. It's a promise you keep with the person in the mirror. The world doesn't move for almosts. Doors open for doers. So breathe in, stand tall, and decide in front of witnesses. This is the day you stop negotiating with your limits and start executing your future. There comes a point in every life where you have to stop negotiating with your potential. You have to stop giving yourself the luxury of excuses, the comfort of delay, the soft pillow of someday. Because someday is a lie. Someday is a thief. Someday robs you of the energy, the opportunities, and the dreams you already have in your hands right now. Today, right here, right now, is where the line in the sand is drawn. And I'm asking you to step over it. Don't think about it. How many times have you whispered to yourself, "I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it when I'm ready. I'll wait until things calm down"? And how many times has tomorrow turned into another tomorrow, and then another? That's how dreams die, not with one big explosion, but with a slow drip of delays, excuses, and distractions. But on the other side of that line, on the other side of action, is a different life. The life where you actually finish what you said you would finish. The life where you don't just talk about writing that book. You hold the printed copy in your hand. The life where you don't just imagine being strong and healthy. You look in the mirror and see proof of your discipline. The life where you don't just dream of starting that business. You wake up to sales, customers, and impact. And that life begins with one decision: to get it done. Get it done is not just a motivational phrase. It's a contract. It's a vow. It's you standing face to face with yourself and saying, "I will no longer betray my own word. I will no longer break promises to myself. I will finish what I start." Because here's the truth. The cost of delay is heavier than the cost of discipline. Every day you wait, the price gets higher. You lose time. You lose confidence. You lose momentum. You even lose trust in yourself. And trust me, nothing hurts more than looking in the mirror and realizing you don't believe your own words anymore. But the payoff of decisive action? That is freedom. That is power. That is momentum in its purest form. When you do what you said you would do, your chest lifts, your voice deepens, your energy shifts. People notice, opportunities notice. Life begins to bend in your direction. Because life respects action. Let me tell you this. The world does not move for almost. The world does not open doors for someday. The world only moves for done. Done changes everything. Done builds reputation. Done builds character. Done creates opportunities that no amount of wishing could ever buy. And I want you to hear me clearly. This is not about waiting for perfect conditions. This is not about waiting for the right tools, the right timing, the right connections. If you're waiting for everything to align before you move, you'll still be waiting 10 years from now. Winners don't wait, they create. They step out when it's messy. They step out when it's uncomfortable. They step out when the odds are against them. Why? Because they understand that motion creates clarity, action breeds momentum, execution builds confidence. So right here, I want you to do something bold. I want you to think of the one thing, the one project, the one habit, the one goal that you've been carrying around in your head, the one that whispers to you at night when the world gets quiet, the one thing you keep saying you'll do, but haven't yet. Name it, see it, bring it to the surface. Now I want you to declare it, not in silence, not hidden, not someday. Say it out loud. Say, "This is the week I finish." Say, "This is the promise I will keep." Feel the weight of those words. That's not a wish, that's a contract. Because the line in the sand is real. On one side, there is hesitation, procrastination, and regret. On the other side, there is commitment, completion, and pride. You have to decide which side you will stand on. This is the moment, not next week, not next month, not when life is easier. Right here, right now. You are face to face with a choice. Repeat the cycle or break it. And if you're ready to break it, if you're ready to stop carrying unfinished stories and start carrying victories, then it begins with a promise, not to me, not to the world, but to yourself. Because when you promise yourself you'll get it done, and you keep that promise, you become unstoppable. One of the biggest reasons people never get it done is not because they lack effort, it's because they lack clarity. They are working, grinding, pushing, staying busy. But if you ask them, what does done actually look like? They hesitate, they mumble, they give you a foggy picture, not a clear target. And here's the truth. Effort without clarity is like running full speed in the wrong direction. You can be exhausted, drained, even proud of how hard you worked. But if you didn't know where the finish line was, did you actually finish? Did you really move forward? Or did you just wear yourself out? That's why the first step to making get it done real in your life is this. You must define the one outcome. Notice I didn't say 10 outcomes, not 5, not even 3. 1. Because scattered focus creates scattered results. Too many targets create paralysis. You try to do everything, and in the end, you finish nothing. But when you define the one outcome, the most important result, that truly matters, suddenly everything becomes sharper, cleaner, simpler. Think about it like this. Imagine standing in front of a dartboard. If you throw darts with your eyes closed, sure, you might hit the board by accident. But when you open your eyes and lock in on the bullseye, your chances multiply. That's what defining the one outcome does. It gives you a bullseye. So how do you do it? You write a done statement. A done statement is one simple sentence that clearly describes what finished looks like and by when. Not vague, not fluffy, clear, specific, tangible. Instead of saying, "I want to get in shape," a done statement is, "I will complete 20 workouts in the next 30 days. Instead of saying, "I want to start my business," a done statement is, "By September 30th, I will launch my website with 3 published pages and 1 product ready to sell." Instead of saying, "I need to work on my book," a done statement is, "By Friday, I will have 5,000 new words written in my manuscript." Do you feel the difference? One is a wish, the other is a finish line, and finish lines are powerful because they tell you when to celebrate, when to rest, and when to move to the next mountain. Now, once you've written your done statement, the next step is to chop the mountain. Because big goals feel impossible when you stare at the whole peak. But every mountain is climbed one step at a time, one rock at a time, one breath at a time. So instead of obsessing over the entire climb, you focus on the next visible step. Let's make this real. If your done statement is to launch a website, the mountain feels huge. Design, copywriting, products, payments, hosting, branding. Overwhelming, right? But what's the next visible step? It might be as simple as registering your domain name. That's it. You don't need to do it all today. You need to take the next step. If your done statement is finishing 20 workouts, the mountain might feel heavy. Schedules, motivation, energy, routines. But the next step, it could be as simple as putting your workout clothes by your bed tonight. So tomorrow, when you wake up, you've already removed the friction. This is how mountains are climbed. This is how outcomes are achieved. Not through magic, not through waiting for the perfect moment, but through chopping the mountain into steps so small you can't talk yourself out of them. And here's where the emotional power kicks in. Every time you take a step, you send yourself a message. You're not just moving toward your goal, you're rewriting your identity. You're proving to yourself, I am a finisher. I am someone who does what I said I would do. I don't leave things hanging in the air, I bring them to completion. Do you realize how much that shifts your confidence? When you define one outcome and then chop it into steps, you stop feeling like life is vague and overwhelming. Instead, you feel like life is measurable and winnable. And when life feels winnable, you're dangerous because you stop quitting. So pause and ask yourself right now, what is the one outcome that would matter most this week, this month, this season? Not 10, not 20. 1. Write it, see it, speak it. Then chop the mountain into the next visible step. Because once you define the one outcome, all the noise falls away. Distractions lose their grip. Doubt loses its voice. You wake up with purpose. You move with intention. And you finally know what it means to get it done. There's a reason why so many people start strong but never finish. It's not because they lack motivation. It's not because they lack resources. It's not even because they lack time. The truth is deeper than that. The truth is, they see themselves as starters, not as finishers. Identity shapes behavior. What you believe about yourself dictates what you do. If, deep down, you see yourself as someone who never follows through, then every time you start something new, you're already preparing to quit. You're already expecting yourself to fade, to give up, to try again later. And when you expect it, you unconsciously make it true. But the moment you decide, I am a finisher, everything shifts. It's not about mood anymore. It's not about how motivated you feel on a Monday morning or how tired you are on a Friday night. It's not about waiting for inspiration to strike. It's about identity. And identity is stronger than mood. Identity drives consistency. Think about it like this. If someone identifies as a smoker, they smoke even if they're trying to quit. If someone identifies as an athlete, they train even when they don't feel like it. If someone identifies as a writer, they write even on the days the words don't flow. Why? Because their actions flow from who they believe they are. So the challenge is this: stop identifying as someone who tries. Stop identifying as someone who starts. Stop identifying as someone who's working on it. That language keeps you small. From now on, your identity must be this: I am a finisher. I do what I say I will do. I complete the things I commit to. But how do you build that identity if you've spent years quitting? The answer is simple. Stack small wins. Every time you finish something, no matter how small, you deposit proof into your identity bank. You show yourself evidence that you are, in fact, a finisher. It might be finishing a workout, finishing a page, finishing a project, finishing a conversation you've been avoiding. It doesn't have to be massive. What matters is that you complete what you start. Each completion is a brick, and over time those bricks build the unshakable wall of your identity. Let's be honest, quitting has also left its mark. Every unfinished project, every broken promise, every abandoned plan has chipped away at your confidence. That's why the most powerful way to reclaim your confidence is to finish. Not perfectly, not grandly, just finish. And this is where the micro-ritual comes in. Before you begin any task, pause for just 10 seconds and declare out loud, I am a finisher. This will be done. Say it before the workout. Say it before opening your laptop. Say it before stepping into the meeting. You're not just starting something, you're finishing it. That declaration may feel small, but it trains your brain to associate every action with completion. Over time, this becomes automatic. You don't need hype. You don't need endless motivation. You don't need someone clapping for you in the background. You've programmed your identity, and your identity takes care of the rest. Because here's the truth: the world doesn't reward people who just start. The world rewards people who finish. Nobody cares about the business plan you almost launched. Nobody remembers the book you almost wrote. Nobody is moved by the workout routine you almost committed to. But finish something, and the world takes notice. Finish something, and you take notice. Finish something, and your own reflection looks on. Of the most dangerous enemies of finishing is not laziness, it's noise, distraction, clutter, the endless flood of things screaming for your attention. Emails, notifications, requests, obligations, ideas all pulling at you, all asking for your energy, all convincing you that they're urgent. And the more noise you allow in, the less progress you make. Noise is a thief. It steals your focus, it steals your energy, and it steals your sense of control. Have you ever ended a day completely exhausted, but with nothing important to show for it? That's the cost of noise. You were busy, but you weren't effective. You were moving, but you weren't moving forward. That's why, if you truly want to get it done, you must learn the art of ruthless clarity. You cannot do everything. You cannot chase every opportunity, answer every message, or jump into every distraction. You must cut through the noise and focus on what actually matters. Here's a principle to live by. The rule of 3. At any given time, you should only be working on 3 major priorities. Not 30, not 13. 3. If everything is important. Nothing is if everything is urgent. Nothing truly gets finished. But when you narrow down to 3, you create laser focus. Think about it. If you wake up tomorrow with a to-do list of 25 items, your mind is scattered before you even begin. But if you wake up with 3 crystal clear priorities, you know exactly what to attack. And when you finish those 3, the day is a victory no matter what else happens. But how do you decide what makes the cut? That's where the kill list comes in. The kill list is brutal. It's where you look at every task, every responsibility, every good idea you're juggling, and you ask yourself, does this truly move me closer to my outcome? If the answer is no, you either eliminate it, automate it, or delegate it. Eliminate. Some things don't deserve to be on your list at all. They feel urgent, but they're not important. They might give you the illusion of productivity, but they don't actually move the needle. Be ruthless. Cut them. Automate. Some things need to get done, but they don't need your brain power. Automate. Then with systems, tools, reminders, or routines that run without you. Delegate. Some things matter, but they don't require you. Hand them off. Stop trying to carry everything yourself. This is how you clear the field, how you remove the weeds, how you make space for what truly matters. Because let's be honest, the biggest reason we don't finish isn't because the work is impossible. It's because we bury the important under the avalanche of the unimportant. And clarity isn't just about tasks. It's also about environment. Your surroundings either fuel your focus or feed your distractions. If your phone is always buzzing, if your desk is cluttered, if your workspace is filled with interruptions, you've already lost half the battle. Do something radical. Remove friction. Put your phone in another room while you work. Clear your desk before you start. Shut down the tabs that don't matter. Create a space that whispers. This is where things get done. Because here's the truth: focus is fragile. If you allow it to be stolen, it will be. If you don't guard it, the world will devour it. But when you kill the noise and choose ruthless clarity, you take back your power. And it's not just about productivity. It's about peace. When you live with ruthless clarity, you stop carrying the weight of everything all at once. You stop drowning in endless lists. You stop feeling guilty for what you didn't do. Instead, you live with sharpness. You know what matters. You know where your energy goes. And you know what done looks like. And that confidence, that peace gives you momentum. Clarity alone is not enough. You can know exactly what needs to be done. But if your time is scattered, if your energy is spread thin, if your day is being hijacked by interruptions, you'll still end up frustrated and unfinished. The difference between people who dream and people who deliver often comes down to one thing: how they structure their time. Here's the reality: time is the most valuable currency you will ever own. And if you don't tell your time where to go, it will vanish. It will get eaten up by everyone else's agenda, by endless scrolling, by emergencies that aren't really emergencies, and by distractions disguised as opportunities. That's why you must learn to plan like a pro. And the tool that changes everything is called the mission block. A mission block is a focused unit of time set aside to accomplish a specific outcome. Not work on something, not try to make progress. A mission block is intentional, targeted, and protected. It is a sacred container of time where the only goal is execution. Here's how it works. Instead of letting your day run you, you run your day by creating 20 to 40-minute mission blocks. Why that length? Because science and experience both agree human focus works best in bursts, not marathons. 40 minutes of laser intensity will outperform for hours of scattered, distracted effort. Mission blocks force you to show up with energy and leave with completion. Imagine this. You set a timer for 30 minutes. You declare your outcome. By the end of this block, I will write 500 words. You clear every distraction. Phone away, tabs closed, notifications silenced. For those 30 minutes, your entire world is reduced to one mission: writing Goni of the greatest killers of progress. Isn't failure its perfectionism? It's that voice in your head that says, don't start until it's perfect. Don't begin until everything is lined up. Don't move until you're absolutely ready. And what happens? Days pass, weeks pass, years pass, and the thing you could have finished remains stuck inside your imagination. Perfectionism is dressed up to look noble. It tells you, I just want it to be excellent. I want it to be my best work. But underneath, it's nothing more than fear in disguise. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough. Perfectionism convinces you to delay, to polish endlessly, to wait for the perfect time, and in doing so, it robs you of momentum. The truth is simple. Perfectionism is procrastination wearing a suit. It feels respectable, but it kills your results just the same. And the only way to destroy it is with this mindset. Start ugly. Starting ugly means giving yourself permission to begin before you're ready, to launch the draft before it's polished, to record the video even if the lighting isn't perfect, to take the first step even if it feels clumsy. Because here's what most people forget. Ugly starts lead to beautiful finishes. Nothing great was born perfect. Every masterpiece began as a mess. Think about the first time you rode a bike. Was it graceful? No, you wobbled. You fell. You scraped your knees. But you got better because you started. Think about the first time you tried to write, to draw, to speak, to lead. It wasn't flawless, but you grew. And you would never have improved if you hadn't been willing to start ugly. That's why professionals don't wait for perfection, they move. Writers write terrible first drafts. Athletes practice sloppy reps before they master technique. Entrepreneurs launch minimum viable products before building polished empires. They understand that the finish line only appears after the first step. Here's a strategy: the 5-minute ignition rule. Tell yourself, I will work on this for just 5 minutes. That's it. No pressure to finish the entire project. No demand for perfection. Just 5 minutes of starting ugly. Open the document and type nonsense if you have to. Pick up the weights and move your body even if it feels awkward. Record the voice memo even if your words stumble. What happens is powerful momentum kicks in. 5 minutes often turns into 15, 30, even an hour, because starting is the hardest part. Once you break the seal, the flow begins. And here's the secret. Nobody remembers how you started. They only remember that you finished. Nobody cares that your first draft was messy. They care that your book exists. Nobody cares that your first workout was shaky. They care that you transformed your body. Nobody cares that your first business launch was scrappy. They care that your product helped them. So why waste time obsessing over flawless beginnings when all that matters is the finish? Another key is to celebrate starts and finishes, not polish. Every time you begin, you're teaching yourself courage. Every time you finish, no matter how imperfect, you're teaching yourself discipline. Stack those imperfect completions, and suddenly you're miles ahead of the person who's still waiting for perfect conditions. Perfectionism whispers, "What if it's not good enough?" But let me ask you what's worse: releasing something that could be improved, or never releasing anything at all. Progress beats perfection every single time. Done changes your life. Perfect never arrives. So the invitation is simple. Give yourself permission to start ugly, to look foolish, to stumble, to be imperfect in public. Because it's through those imperfect starts that you find your rhythm, your growth, your strength. And every ugly beginning carries within it the seed of a powerful ending. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces you can ever harness. Once you build it, it carries you forward. It multiplies your effort. It magnifies your focus. It makes hard things feel lighter. But here's the catch: momentum doesn't come from thinking. It doesn't come from wishing. It doesn't even come from starting. Momentum comes from finishing. Think about the last time you checked something off your list, something important, something you had been dragging for weeks. Remember that feeling, that rush of energy, that surge of pride, that weight lifted off your shoulders. That's momentum. It's not just about progress, it's about the emotional payoff of completion. The problem is, most people rob themselves of momentum because they never track what they finish. They only track what they still have left to do. They live under a mountain of unchecked boxes, endless lists, unfinished tasks. And when you only see what's unfinished, you feel defeated even if you actually accomplished a lot. That's why you must create a done list, not just a to-do list. A done list. Every time you finish something, no matter how small, write it down. Don't underestimate this practice. It's psychological fuel. It gives your brain evidence that you are moving forward, that you are keeping promises, that you are actually getting things done. Imagine this. At the end of your day, instead of staring at the 10 things you didn't finish, you look at the 20 things you did. Instead of ending the day in frustration, you end it in victory. The done list transforms your mindset from never enough to look what I accomplished. And that shift in energy is what fuels tomorrow's momentum. Another tool is the chain of completion. This is where you commit to doing something daily and you track it visually. Every day you finish, you mark an X on the calendar. Day after day, the chain grows longer, and soon you don't just want to keep the habit, you want to keep the chain alive. Missing one day feels like breaking something sacred. That's how momentum is built, not just through effort, but through visible proof that you're consistent. Jerry Seinfeld, one of the most successful comedians of all time, used this exact method. His rule was simple: write a joke every day. Each day he did, he marked the calendar with a big red X after a few weeks. The chain was so long he didn't want to break it. That's momentum mechanics, and if it worked for him, it can work for you. You can also supercharge momentum with micro rewards. Each time you finish a mission block, reward yourself with something small. Stand up, stretch, take a deep breath, grab a glass of water, go for a quick walk. These rewards signal to your brain that finishing feels good, that finishing is worth it. Over time, your mind begins to crave that payoff and the act of finishing becomes addictive. Because here's the truth: your brain loves closure. It loves tying loose ends, crossing things off, bringing things to completion. But if you never give it that closure, if you leave everything half done, you rob yourself of energy. You feel drained, not because you worked too hard, but because you never gave your brain the satisfaction of done. And when you track what you finish, something powerful happens. You begin to trust yourself again. You start to believe your own words. You begin to carry yourself with a different posture because you know, deep down, I finish what I start. That's not just momentum, that's identity reinforcement. So ask yourself, how will you track your finishes? Will you build a done list on paper? Will you create a whiteboard scoreboard? Will you use a calendar chain? Will you set up a reward system? It doesn't matter how you do it. What matters is that you see your progress. Because momentum doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's engineered. It's built brick by brick, finish by finish, day by day. And once you harness it, you'll be unstoppable.